In today's episode, we will dive into inspiring stories of passion and perseverance. Our guest today is Ewan Heritage, a dedicated dental therapist from Sheffield who's been transforming smiles for 3 years. While balancing his studies, Ewan discovered a new passion, running. Now, he boasts thousands of followers on both Instagram and TikTok, where he shares the highs and lows of putting one foot in front of another. In this episode, we'll explore his path into the world of running, what running means to him, and why it's become such an integral part of his life. So, hello, thank you very much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We are going to be talking about one of my favourite things, so I'm going to try and keep it focused throughout this conversation. But I think it is actually a topic and something that people are doing increasingly more of. I think it's become a real, I don't want to say trend. I feel that kind of downplays it or kind of sort of seems a bit unfair, but running is definitely something that I'm seeing more and more of online and actually just generally on the streets. And obviously you are very unique in that you are a dental hygienist and you run an awful lot. So we're going to be talking about both things today, and I think a great place to start would just be you talking a bit about your dental journey and then a bit about your running journey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the running boom is definitely a thing at the moment.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
But I only got into running recently. So when I was at school, I was always sciencey based.
Okay.
Always wanted to do something in science, working with people as well. Didn't know what I wanted to do. It was either veterinary, medicine, dentistry. I didn't really decide. And then in my A-levels, I decided to do dental therapy, dental hygiene. And yeah, I just fell in love with dentistry.
That's nice.
I mean, mixing the science and mixing with people, it's like the perfect balance for me.
A lot of people say that actually.
Yeah, it's just pretty perfect. I love like putting science into like fruition and using it.
Yeah.
And then got into running during the first lockdown. Like many
That's my story kind of too. Yeah.
Many
yeah,
other people got out the running shoes because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I played football while I was at uni and went to the gym most days. So I was always doing stuff, and then there was nothing to do. So I was like, yeah.
So sport's always been kind of in your life in some form or another.
For sure. Football since I was sort of 8 years old, all the way through to uni, and then I only recently stopped when running took a sort of forefront in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have any running shoes or nothing like that. I used my dad's 10-year-old like Mitsuno running shoes.
Way.
Wore them for years.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they do the job?
They did for a while until I started to get a few little sort of shin splints and stuff like that. So I was like, probably need to invest in a pair of running shoes.
Yeah, for sure. And for those who don't know, you now have quite a big online presence in the running community, and it's something you balance with your day job as a dental hygienist therapist. What's that like?
I try. I'm not. It is hard.
Yeah.
But I think balancing is the best skill that I've got. I love being busy. If I'm not busy, I feel odd. Like I always want to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to wake up at sort of 6 a.m, go to the gym, and then go to clinic, and then look forward to a track session in the evening. I love doing stuff all day. So it's not so much trying to balance it. It's just I enjoy doing it. So it's not
mean, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's not a mission for me. It's just what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I love exercise and love hurting myself in exercise ways, going into the well, getting absolutely knackered after a run. I just love that. So it's not, I feel like I don't have to work to do it.
It's not really something you have to think or fit in. It just happens naturally to you.
Yeah, like a lot of people see the gym or running as a chore, like, oh, I need to go and run a 5K, need to burn some calories or whatever. But yeah, no.
Or find it dull. I find that's quite a common association that I see when I speak to people about running. They'll say, oh, just, it's so boring. Like, and I flip it and I usually say, well, actually it allows you to see a place. You know, you're not necessarily, obviously you can go on a treadmill inside and then might be a bit monotonous. It depends who you ask. I find it a little bit dull, but actually running outside, it allows you to be outside, particularly if your job isn't an outdoors one, which obviously yours isn't, and it can be quite isolated job, actually, dentistry, can't it? So it's quite, I can imagine it's quite nice to have something totally different as an escape from that.
Yeah, definitely. Spending all day in a clinic with just white lights on, it's nice to get out and get on a run.
Yeah, absolutely. So running, let's go back to running as a topic. Why running? What does running mean to you?
Running's everything to me now. I'm addicted. It's my life. I've got quite an addictive personality. The minute I started running, I've just gone with it. I grabbed it with both hands and ran. I just love it. I'm a qualified running coach now.
Oh, amazing.
I just do everything running based. My whole life revolves around running now. So yeah, it means everything to me, really. I just love it.
What is it about running that pulls you to it? Is it like, you know, what are some of the key benefits for you personally?
I think the main thing is performance based.
Okay.
A lot of people see running as getting out there for mental health, sort of finish work and go out for a 5K to sort of clear the air, finish work. Don't get me wrong, I do it for that. But also the performance based. I love to see me getting better week in, week out. I've always been performance based. I love seeing me get better both physically and mentally. So educating myself in dentistry, getting better, and running, seeing my times come down, race PBs coming down, stuff like that. That's where I get the enjoyment from it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
It is quite measurable, isn't it? And you can I mean, it goes both ways. I think you can build your fitness up quite quickly. At the same time, you can lose it quite quickly too. So it's like sort of double-edged sword in that sense. But it is quite satisfying in that you, particularly when you're starting out, I think when a lot of people do the couch to 5K and you might walk a bit, run a bit, walk a bit, run a bit. And then before you know it, actually, you can run a mile without having to stop. And it's so measurable. So for you and for other dental professionals too, who perhaps have a mindset that works like that, you know, seeing evidence-based, basically, you know, you said you like science.
Yeah.
It's great. They kind of do complement each other in that sense.
Yeah, especially coming from a sort of team-based background in football and stuff. I always loved winning, so it's kind of moving that to running. It's winning your own race or winning your PBs, getting better.
It's, I guess, you're competing with yourself in many ways, aren't you? Which is, I guess, the nicest kind of competition. I think it is.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's what I always say to anyone that I coach. It's like, it's only you. You're not racing anyone else. But everyone wants to race. So it's
true. It's true, and it's. I think the running bug. You spoke about the running boom, but it does get a lot of people, and it's particularly on social media now. There's a huge presence. And I think. I mean, actually, I'd like to ask you this. Do you think that is since COVID that I think that's responsible for it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone turned to running during lockdown, either running or cycling, and a lot of people filmed it and got it out there, and then it's boomed. So
is that where your sort of journey on Instagram? You're also on TikTok, am I right in saying that? You've got a big following on both of those. Tell me a bit about that, when that got started, and kind of how you built up to where you are today.
I mean, it slowly started in the first lockdown. So the minute I started doing my running, I was like, I do quite a lot. So I run, I gym, I work. So I just filmed it and like how I balance going to the gym in the morning and then going to work and then doing a run in the evening. And I filmed it and how I balance it. That's what went viral.
Okay.
So like one video went viral. I was like, oh, people seem to enjoy this.
Yeah.
So I just kept filming it just on my phone. And it still is on my phone. So it's really accessible.
Really amazing.
Yeah, just film everything. And that's how it happened. Yeah, just filmed from there.
What's your handle in case anybody wants to follow you?
The dental athlete.
The dental athlete.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's very fitting.
I like that. Yeah, it's perfect. Also great that you got that handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like impressive. You really grabbed that one. I mean, usually you'd have to chuck a couple of numbers after that now. Yeah.
That's pretty lucky with that.
It's a good one. And this content side of things, I think, again, it complements dentistry nicely because you're in this unique position in that you can see the content within the dental world and within the running world, and obviously both of them are booming. And I can imagine it takes up a lot of time for you to produce that content. So although you said I'm still using my phone and it's just really accessible, how do you fit that in on a day-to-day? What does an average day for you look like? Talk me through a day in the life of you.
A day in the life is waking up 6 a.m. normally, head off for either a morning run or a gym workout, normally legs for the runners, and then shower at the gym or shower after that, and then head off to work 9 till 1, then lunch, and then 2 till 5, and then I go and run or gym, do the other opposite of what I did in the morning, and then go home, eat, and repeat, really.
Okay. And where in terms of content, how much of your day would that take up? How much time do you spend on it?
Filming isn't as bad because it's just whipping out the phone and popping it on the side or on a tripod. At the start, I was getting past the nerves of putting it on a tripod in the gym or filming yourself in public.
I can see,
But I've gone past that now, and I don't care what anyone thinks, really.
So do you see other people doing it as well?
In the gym quite a bit more, yeah. Less so running. It depends if you're doing a race, you see a few people doing it as well. But yeah, the editing side takes up most evenings. I'll get back from work, or I'll do it in my lunchtime.
Yeah.
But it's voiceover, so you've got to be in a place where it's just you, which is hard. Being at home, I have to go into a different room and film it. Yeah, so that's like an hour or two in the evening.
Okay.
But I've recently dropped to 4 days a week, so
to focus on the content side.
So I have a day where I focus on either filming or editing, doing all of that sort of stuff.
I mean, you said earlier you enjoy being busy, but that content side, do you ever find it challenging to do? Are there any days when you think, I just really don't want to have to do this?
Yeah, all the time. It's like, what video do I film next? Or thinking of new ideas, but I just stopped doing that because it's just so hard, like trying to think of ideas on the spot. Most of my ideas come to me when I'm about to go to sleep. Very random. I'm about to fall asleep and I'll think of an idea. Like ideas come to me at the most random of times. I'll wake up, pop it on my notes so I don't forget it, and film it the next day or film it on the next day I have off. So it's hard to force videos. You've got to be sort of authentic and with your ideas.
For sure.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to those who might be listening or watching who, running or dental or anything else, may want to start their content journey when it comes to platforms such as TikTok or Instagram? What would your kind of, getting your advice for getting started be?
Keep it simple. Like, I use my iPhone. Just start with your iPhone. Film what you find passionate about. Yeah. So if it's running, if it's dentistry, find your sort of niche within that, film it, and just post it. Try and get the good quality you can with your iPhone. Good quality is always what people look for.
Yeah. Back to the actually, do you know what? It kind of links to what we were just discussing. So getting started in content, but then getting started in running. So coming back to this boom that we mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of people who will feel quite nervous about starting their running journey. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, there's probably many reasons for it, but a lot of it is that it's quite a public sport in that you know, a lot of the time you're just putting your shoes on and going out on the street, which is one of the reasons why I personally love it so much, is because it is quite accessible. You know, don't underestimate the importance of a good pair of shoes, but like you said, if you've got something that's safe to run in and you're not doing an excessive amount of miles when you're starting off, you should be good to go. What would you say to those people who may be wanting to get into running but a bit nervous or not really sure where to start?
Yeah, I think a lot of people seem to say, just pop your shoes on, go out the door. It's the most easy sport in the world, which is true, but it is hard for some people to do that. I think a good pair of shoes is the biggest advice that I've got to people. I know a lot of people that have started running and just their gym shoes they've had for 5 years, they get shin splints or it just doesn't feel good and they don't enjoy it and then they stop running. So yeah, invest in a good pair of shoes, go to a running store, get your gait analysed, see how you run, see what fits you, and you'll enjoy it so much more. And
yeah, that's, I mean, I've run in the same brand and model of running shoes since I started running up until 3 weeks ago. It's nothing fancy, but it works for me, and I'm quite nervous to go out of my comfort zone if it's kind of like it works for me, so why change it up? But there's the whole thing about rotating your shoes and, you know, making sure that you aren't running too many miles in the same pair. I think you're obviously in dentistry and health is important, and you are slamming your body into concrete most of the time. Like, you know, I don't know what the actual, do you know what the actual, it's something like a ridiculous amount of times your body weight into
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I when someone told me recently, and I thought doesn't sound like running is good for you when you put it like that. But you do have to, look after yourself, particularly when you start running more frequently, or you're going from doing no running to starting. Your body takes quite a bit of time to adjust. So I guess people can get put off by that.
Yeah.
So investing in a good pair of shoes is a way to allow people to continue doing it without it freaking them out. But yeah, no, it's so interesting to see the running boom online, and I get fed loads of content now, and it is probably quite similar to your feed. It's either dentistry or running.
Yeah.
But it's what do you make of it? Seeing all of this content, do you feel it's a challenge to be heard in the noise of it all?
I think it's great. I like the amount of it. I think it's good for the running community and building the actual running core. Like, everyone enjoys running, but there's only a certain amount. Running was a lot smaller 4 years ago. So it's trying to filter out the correct advice and stuff online. There's a lot. Everyone puts out advice or tips or just their own running journey, and a lot of people see it and think that's what I need to do, and they copy it, and it doesn't work for them. So all the new running sort of influencers, content creators is great. I love it. Everyone should do it if they want to, but people need to realise that it's not everything's for them, and they shouldn't take advice just straight off Instagram or TikTok.
Do you feel that's something that translates into the dental sphere as well, when it comes to people displaying their work or people doing certain courses or creating certain content? Do you think there can be that sort of competitiveness or sort of pressure to copy what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, like, I go on my Instagram and it's full of all these amazing posterior composites and rubber dams, and it's like, should I be going on that course? Should I be going on this course? When it's hard, you should try and just focus on what you want to do. It is a lot of competitiveness in both running and dentistry. So it's weird to be in the little niche in between it, seeing it all.
It's super niche. Is there anyone else you know that's in that with you?
No. I mean, every sort of run club you go to, there's always a dentist there. Always.
Oh, no
it's
way.
so weird.
Actually, no, I've got one in mind.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
They're always there, but not all of them create content. So I think it could just be me.
I think there's something in that, actually. Or maybe it's healthcare generally, but if we're talking specifically about dentistry today, I know you said for you it's more the mental health benefits are there for you, but that's kind of a side product, if you will, of the main reason you do it, which is to get better.
Yeah.
I can imagine a lot of people I'm for one of them, start to run because they just need an escape from the day-to-day, and obviously dentistry is super high pressured. So it doesn't surprise me that that's a sort of pattern that is seen. I think sport lends itself quite nicely as an escape to the profession.
Yeah, I think breaking that barrier from work into your normal life at home is quite hard to put that barrier up. A lot of dentists take their work home, they're worrying about stuff they did at work that day, and it's hard to separate yourself from work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go on a run straight after work, you just forget completely about work, so it's a great thing for that, definitely.
So have you had colleagues that have inquired about your running and sort of lent on you to help them get started on that journey?
There is definitely a few. My boss, he's an older dentist, he's about sort of 60, and he runs about 10k almost every other day.
Oh wow, okay.
So I go on a few runs with him, which is quite fun.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get him to sign up for a race at some point with me.
Is he convinced?
I reckon so. I reckon he'll do a local half marathon, hopefully.
Bit more pressure on him.
Yeah.
Oh, a half, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, pushing the boat out.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Have you got a preference when it comes to racing? I know you say performance, so tell me a bit about that side of the running. So obviously you've mentioned your day-to-day, how the training kind of fits in. Tell me a bit about your actual race history. Have you got a favourite distance? Is there any sort of obstacles you've had to sort of overcome in that area?
Yeah, I mean, a lot on Instagram and TikTok is everyone runs a marathon. A marathon's always the thing that everyone looks at. It's like the gold medal of a marathon. That's what everyone wants to do. So I kind of set my sights on that straight away. I was like, yeah, I want to do a marathon. It was one of the first races I did, really. I must have started about a year before properly training for the marathon, and that was the first race I wanted to do. Since then, it's been a lot shorter distances, sort of 5k, 10k. It put me off for life.
I was about to say, is it because you didn't like it? Did you not enjoy it?
No.
Okay.
I absolutely hated the marathon.
Talk me through that.
I set myself a high goal of sub 3 hours for my first marathon, and I really wanted to get that. So I was perfectly on plan the whole race, and then I missed out by 8 seconds at the end. So that's just put me off. I was cramping from sort of kilometre 16, so I had more than halfway to go, and it wasn't enjoyable because it's too far.
I think that's nice for you to say that though, because some people who may either be runners already, who might be listening or maybe looking to get into running, again, it comes back to that pressure to aspire to something that everybody else aspires to. And actually you're here, you make content for running, you run a lot, you love running, and you're like, actually, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Was that something that came to you straight away, or has it taken you a bit of time to kind of acknowledge that?
Yeah, I mean, the minute I crossed that finish line, I was like, I'm not doing another one for a long, long time. I wasn't a fan. It is too far.
What race did you do actually to start with? What marathon was it that you ran?
So I did Manchester Marathon in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, so last year. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this because everyone else is gonna be thinking. I know you had a goal, but like 3 hours 8 seconds. Did you not feel like, oh gosh, I could? I can't. I know I can do it. Particularly if you were cramping from 16K.
Yeah, I definitely know next time I'll be well under the 3 hour mark.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you look at the elite runners though as well, no one does a marathon straight away. They all start when they're 18 to sort of 25. They're all doing 5Ks maximum, and then when they get older, they do the marathon. Whereas all of us seem to just go straight for the marathon.
Which I think there's a lesson in that, right? Don't mean to be cheesy or like the pun is absolutely not intended, but like it isn't a race to like get to that point. And there's no pressure to necessarily perform well or perform to what you think is well or good. Like, cause I think I'm like it is if you do have a goal, you can put an awful lot of pressure on yourself to achieve it, and when you don't, you can be really hard on yourself for not doing it. And that's can apply to all parts of life, not just running and dentistry too. You might see a patient and the patient leaves, and you're like, oh, I could have done that a bit better, or I probably could have handled the rapport a bit better. I'm just not performing as well as I want to today. But the lesson is just like to be a bit kinder. I mean, if you have a bad day running, how do you have a mood that you fall into and you have to get yourself out of it? How do you cope with having a bad day?
Yeah, I used to be quite sort of bad with it. Like you say, in dentistry and running, it's both very performance-based, and you judge yourself on how you did throughout the whole day, throughout the whole run. It's always the same. But recently I've sort of looked at it a lot better, more of an overall perspective, looking at it that not very few things in life are permanent. Yeah. So especially in running and dentistry. So running, 1 week you can be smashing all your PBs, every race is amazing, you're running perfectly, and then the next week you're injured and you can't run, and it just sucks. And the same goes for dentistry, really. You can have all the best patients in one day, they're all really happy, all the work goes really well, and then the next day it's full of patients that aren't happy and nothing goes right, you're in there running behind, and it's just making sure that you have that overall perspective that nothing's permanent, it will change, and knowing that it will be all right in the end.
How have you got there? Is there any kind of, obviously it sounds like you've had to have a bit of a journey to get to that point where you just make peace with it. Have you got any advice for those who may struggle to move past a bad day or a bad patient or a bad run? How would you suggest starting to process that better?
I think looking at what you did right helps. So a lot of times you look at what you did wrong in that situation, but you overlook everything you did well, or not just on one patient, maybe the whole day. 15 of the patients might have been amazing, and then you have one bad one, and then you go home and all you think about is the bad one. Whereas you can just look back and say, look, I had 15 patients that went perfectly well. Why am I kicking myself about one? So it's trying to manage the expectations of it, really.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's something I need to get better at. I think another thing that I do is like write down what's good just about the day in general at the end of the day. So we're getting a bit philosophical here, but it's always nice to then reflect as well if you're one of those people who like to kind of look back to where they were at one point. And dentistry and running is, again, it comes back to that thing about being measurable. You can look back a year before and look back now. Sometimes there won't be much improvement. Sometimes there might not be any improvement because there may be an injury, or you may not have had a day that you're proud of. But a lot of the time you will see that you have actually come quite far, and even if it's just in the ability to like handle things happening that weren't favourable. Yeah, I think it's good to sometimes write things down as well, so you can look back and be like, okay, that's what I was thinking this time last year, and now I feel like this. And yeah, you've got two quite high pressured sort of focuses there. Is there anything? Do you ever get overwhelmed? Have you ever got to the point where you're like, I can't do this?
Not really, because I enjoy both of them so much. It can be high pressured at times, but I sort of thrive under the pressure. I mean, the pressure makes me perform better. So running, I love it. Dentistry, I love it as well. So it's not really work for me. I just enjoy my whole day and then go home. Obviously, you get the bad days with bad running or bad patients or whatever, which is every now and then. But yeah, I enjoy what I do, so I don't see it as too high pressured.
Okay, that's nice.
I mean, I know dentistry is seen as a really high pressured sort of environment, but yeah, I don't mind it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice to be able to have a handle on things. Like you said, if you're passionate about both of them, then it can just come naturally. Training blocks. I want to talk training blocks. So you said you've trained for a marathon, but then you've done shorter distances since then. I'm assuming all of which have involved some kind of training plan or block. Talk me through what values they've taught you, because they can be quite consuming. Speaking from both experience and talking to other people, it's kind of, you got go, and everything else kind of comes second. What have you taken away from your training blocks that perhaps you can put into practice in dentistry?
Yeah, it's the sort of importance of structure for a training block. It's 16 weeks for a marathon. It's a long time. So if you've got the whole structure there laid out in front of you, you can see what you're doing each day. So on like a Monday, you know what you're doing. A Tuesday, you know what you're doing. A Sunday, you've got a long run, and then you plan the rest of it around it. So when you're working, when you're running, and then trying to get a little social life in there as well, which is probably the hardest bit.
Little being the key word, I think.
Yeah, little to none, really, for the whole 16 weeks. The importance of structure goes to dentistry as well.
Yeah.
Structuring out your days so you know when you're seeing your patients, when you're happy, and having the structure is definitely the key thing.
I think the phrase consistency is key is something that comes into running a lot. How far do you believe in that?
Yeah, 100%. It's unbelievable how consistency is key in running. It's years on years of consistency is what makes the best athletes, not just month on month. Like everyone uses Strava to track their runs, and you see all the Strava graphs going up and down.
Yeah.
And that's what mine looks like at the moment because I'm injured, so it's not ideal. You just want to see it sort of steadily going up. But yeah, consistency in running and dentistry is so important. Obviously, consistency, you're doing your composite fill-ins, making sure each one's the same. Sure. It's one of the...
Do you feel it's taught you to stay? I mean, I don't know it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, I guess. Do you feel that the consistency of dentistry has allowed you to stay consistent in running, or vice versa, or do you just think it's just a value that you kind of have in life and you apply in equal measure?
Yeah, I think I kind of learned it just from trial and error.
Okay.
Sort of within dentistry when I was at university on the phantom head training, doing it wrong and wrong and wrong again, and then you kind of make it right, and then you realise how to make it right every single time. Same with running. Like when you first started, you go and run a 5K as fast as you can, and you do it again the next day, and it doesn't really work. So it's realising what you need to do consistently to get better. It's just your easy runs, your long runs, your training sessions.
For sure. You mentioned that you were injured.
Yes.
So it can be a bit, it can be a bit of a horrible topic, particularly if it's something that you love doing. And I think that's another fear for people who perhaps either do run already or are looking to start running, is the fear of injury or getting injured. How is this? I mean, first of all, what's happened?
I mean, I've got the classic injury of IT band, so everyone seems to get it.
Okay, so talk us through what that is.
So it's pain on the outside of your knee.
Okay.
It's quite common for runners to get. I've not had it before, so it's a bit annoying that I've got it. And then I've also got tendonitis in my ankle, so my posterior.
Same leg.
Yeah, same leg. So it's all pretty
down.
Yeah, it's all pretty related. So in the chain, like, because your gait changes when one bit's injured, so then it's became another injury. So it slowly got worse to the point where I can't run. But now I'm on the way back, so it's all right.
I mean, annoying is the key word when it comes to injury, I think, particularly if it's something that you love doing. But it's obviously, in other words, it's a bit of a setback, I guess, for your running journey. How have you how did you come to terms with the fact that you're not going to be running? I mean, how long have you not been running for, or as much as you'd like to run?
Over maybe 2 months now.
Okay, and how's that been?
It was very tough at the start. I wasn't, not good. I thought it was only going to be a week or two, so I was like, right, that's fine. I'll jump on the bike or I'll try and swim for a week or two. It'll be fine. Went to the physio after 2 weeks, and he said, yeah, you can't run for another sort of month. And I cried. I was just
I can see that, yeah.
So that wasn't good. And then I've kind of just managed it pretty well now. I get on the bike, and because I should enjoy putting myself into a well, getting absolutely knackered, running or cycling, you can do that on a bike. So I've kind of got that sort of dopamine hit from going on the bike.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I sort of manage it. If I can get on the bike and do it instead, it's not too bad.
So I think cross training is is something that I don't think people who run like to do too much. But I've got a friend in Edinburgh who he's been injured, and he didn't really get much running in. He ran London this year, and he smashed it. He got PB, a 20-minute PB. I think 3:25 he ran it in, and he mainly cross trained. So I think there's that, for me anyway, gave me a bit of faith that when an injury comes, that you can actually maintain your fitness. And I think sports lend themselves to each other more than we realise. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got injured last year as well, on the same leg, but a different injury.
God, that leg's not doing you
It's
well,
not,
is it?
I know, it's not ideal. So I wasn't running properly for about 8 weeks. So I had 2 weeks off, and then the rest of it was cross training. And I signed up for a 10K, which I forgot about. And so I had no training, but I was cross training. And I smashed my PB by like 3 minutes in the 10K. So I ran like 35 minutes.
That was with a reduced training block?
Yeah, hardly even ran. It was all just
how fast?
35 minutes, yeah.
Do you like a 10K?
I do quite like it, actually. Yeah, it's better than a 5K. 5K just hurts the whole way, whereas 10K, it's like the first 6 is all right, and then the final 4 is...
I just feel like my legs, like 5 and 10, I feel like for me there's not too much difference. Obviously, for people who don't run that often or are starting off in their journey, both distances can appear quite daunting. But like we mentioned earlier, you can build up mileage quite quickly, and to the point where actually you can cover quite a lot of distances. Forget your speed, don't focus on what your pace is. If you can get to that point where you are consistently running for an hour or an hour and a half, that's the key base, really, isn't it, to building it up. And 5 and 10K for me are just, they're the same. I feel like my legs are going to fall off. I feel it's just the lactic acid that builds up. It's so uncomfortable. And I guess it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And what's going through your head when you're racing?
I try and keep it as positive as I can, all positive thoughts. So just saying to yourself that you can do it, and it's what, like, you've paid to be in this race, or you know that you've, like, no one's told you to be there. It's your choice, so just go for it. And I kind of try and stay on someone that's in front of me. Always just look at the person in front and just stay on them. Yeah.
What has been what's your biggest achievement to date? What is something that you are most proud of? You can pick whether it's dental or running, or you can do one of each. It's up to you.
So for the running, I'd probably say just the social media part of it, building up a content creation, like social media site, Instagram, TikTok. 6 years ago when I first started it, I never thought I would be working with brands, doing podcasts, anything like that. So it's kind of crazy to me that I'm at this stage, and I haven't really realised it yet. I'm still just kind of just enjoying it and taking every day as it comes.
Yeah.
So probably say that for the running, none of the actual PBs or distances that I've ran.
That's nice though, because that could be the answer that most people think runners would go to. But I guess there is a real community as well, which I think is one of the things that I think is great about running, is that community element, and can be a really nice way to meet other people who enjoy it. I mean, running, are you part of a running club?
Yeah, I run for a club and sort of the crews, sort of running crews about. So like an actual running club that train at the track and all that sort of stuff. And then also a running sort of club that, like the social ones as well. Yeah. So
for those who are listening or watching and are like, I would quite like to get involved in a club, like, it can be quite scary. I mean, it was quite a daunting prospect to just turn up one day and be like, oh, hi, I'm Gaby, like, nice to meet you all. Yeah, how would you advise people kind of move past that initial fear?
Yeah, I think it is just going, and there's trying to just realise there's other people doing it as well that are by themselves and it's their first time. I mean, I got nervous going to All Night the first time I went. I felt out of place, especially going to the club one that train at the track. They're all really professional. I've never been on a track in my life, and I rocked up and I was like, hello. And I was, it is nerve-wracking, but it's just thinking everyone's there to run, everyone's there for the same reason, so there's nothing to be nervous about.
I guess it comes back to that kind of imposter syndrome type topic, actually, that's quite huge in dentistry. A lot of people feel, particularly when coming out of their degree, that they aren't trained. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm actually not a dental professional, but when I'm speaking to people, I think, oh my gosh, I'm out in the real world. Did you get that when you left? When did you graduate? Remind me.
2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you were a bit of a COVID cohort.
Yeah, my final year was sort of interrupted by COVID. I never really suffered with it that much. I was quite confident in my skills. I always have been quite confident in my dentistry and my running and all that sort of stuff. But I did decide to do the foundation scheme because as a dental therapist, you don't have to do a foundation year, whereas as a dentist, you do. Whereas you can choose. So I chose to do it just for some extra training, and it was really helpful. So if anyone is doing hygiene therapy, I'd definitely recommend to do it.
What was it about it that kind of would make you give that recommendation?
So it starts off, it's just 3 days a week. So you're not doing full time and you've got a tutor the whole time. They're in the practice. And I'm still at my same practice now. They kept me on and I love it. It's way nicer than going straight into the full world of practicing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, you get longer appointments, you have study days, stuff like that, and you keep learning and it's great.
It's kind of like eased your way in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think that with dentistry as well, it's funny because I spend a lot of my time speaking to dental professionals, so I know quite a lot about the day to day. But I don't know. I think I'm one of those people where I just think it's wild I think that people have other jobs other than what I do. Do you know what I mean? You think, oh, people go and do something different, and the fact that you're not constantly in front of like a computer or a laptop, I'm sure it has its challenges. It definitely does have its challenges, but it's quite nice to have that interaction. You said that's what drew you to the profession in the first place, is that you had the science element and the people element too, which I can imagine I don't know where else you'd really get that outside of healthcare. Yeah.
No, it's definitely very healthcare orientated. I mean, you get it in sort of the fitness industry kind of, I guess, with personal trainers to a certain degree. But yeah.
You're a running coach?
Yes.
Have you got any clients training anyone at the moment?
Yes, we've got about 4 or 5 clients. We keep it quite small just so we can spend a lot of time with each client. We're not like the running apps out there. I'm not going to say any names, but yeah. I'm not gonna
And how does that work? Do you sort of have to find out their goals? Like, what is the purpose of your coaching?
Yeah, so we have a call at the start of the coaching just to go through all their goals, all their recent sort of fitness or any injuries, all that sort of stuff to make sure they're healthy and we think they can get what they want to get out of it. And then it's just one-to-one through an app, and on WhatsApp they can message us 24/7, which they do.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, to ask any questions, which I don't mind because I love talking about running.
Yeah.
So it's either, what running shoes should I get, or anything about the sessions I've set them.
Yeah.
But it's all online at the moment, so it's quite interesting having people from sort of all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. I mean, I'm assuming, is this something you're looking to kind of expand on? I think you've got like 3 sort of prongs on it. You've got the training that you do yourself and the content. You've got the coaching, and then you've got the dentistry.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot. And I know you say it comes naturally to you and it's something that you enjoy. But are there ever times where you feel it does, like even personally, like you've got family, I know you mentioned earlier you've got a partner, like do you ever feel that it infringes on that? And how do you make sure that you carve out time for your loved ones to ensure that it doesn't cross the line to the point where you're like, okay, maybe this is overtaking a bit?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard mix to sort of get right. Working all day, sort of 9 till 5, and then training in the morning and night, and then I'm on my phone setting plans for a client. It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, weekends are my best friend. I spend my weekend with my partner, and that's our time.
Okay.
I shut off my phone on in every evenings from like sort of 8 p.m. So I try and get everything done for 8 or 9 p.m.
Nice.
Yeah, so
in the week, you mean?
Yeah, so weekdays 8 p.m. I'm off my phone, and that's work, clients, coaching, everything done. Weekends, Sunday evening, I do my coaching stuff, and then the rest of it's just for me and my family.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice you can find that. I think that's a struggle that a lot of people in dentistry find, is to sort of hit that balance. Make sure you do switch off, particularly when it comes to social media. Have you, using social media, obviously it plays quite a big role in your, I guess, job actually. You say you've got a lot of like brand connections through the running as well. Have you had any challenges in that way? Have you ever sort of experienced any negativity, any kind of hostility from anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok is a scary place at times. It's crazy, like the comment section. I just try not to read it much. There can be a lot of hate, which is normally from a user 135 that isn't a real account or something.
An egg, yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't read it and try not to get involved with it. But sometimes it does. It does like annoy you a bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I know in dentistry as well, obviously there's a lot of people on social media and TikTok as well, and I've been having this conversation all day, actually, it can tip over into being quite a negative place. And I can imagine if you didn't have that approach that you do, it could put you off pursuing anything.
Yeah, definitely. You do have to be quite thick-skinned. If I wasn't, it would definitely affect me. And
Yeah, I can imagine. So back to running, enhancing your life. How has it enhanced your life, do you think, both professionally and personally? Like what do you feel running has brought into your life that wasn't there before?
I think the main thing is just the performance thing. Bettering myself every single day has been the best thing for me. Just measuring my 5k time going down or my mileage going up, it just makes me feel good after each run. The dopamine you get is just amazing, and I love it. And the same with the social media part of it as well. Giving out advice, giving out tips really helps.
So just to end on one more question, what would your top tips be for those watching who may be running or want to run or may do something completely different in sport, but to enjoy what you're doing? How do you make sure that you keep the enjoyment there?
I think the tip number one, going back to the running shoes, I mean, if it's not running, making sure you've got the right equipment. It's always really key in any sport. You're going to enjoy it a lot more if you've got a good pair of shoes that work for you, because if you start hurting, you're not going to want to do it. So you want to get the right pair of equipment. Tip 2, have a plan.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people go wrong by not having a plan. They just do a 5k and then they don't see any improvement, because they just they do the park run every Saturday and they don't see any improvement and they fall out of love with it just because I'm not getting any better. Why would I keep doing it? So then, if they don't have a plan, it's hard to get better. So that's definitely another one. And then tip number 3, things like Couch to 5k are amazing.
Okay.
So a lot of people are worried to get into sport because they're not good at it. So going on a run and then walking, people are scared to do that because they think they're not a runner. But anyone who runs 100 meters is a runner. If you can run 10 meters and then walk, you're still a runner. And it's having that, getting rid of that sort of label of not worrying about who's a runner and who's not a runner. Everyone who wants to run is a runner. So it's just not being worried what other people think, and just don't be worried to walk when you run.
100%.
Yeah.
I think there's also an association with what people should look like as well when they're running. Both, there's I don't look like that, so therefore I cannot be a runner. And that, again, can be quite hard to shake that off and be like, actually, anyone can hit the nail on the head there. With that, as long as you can move your feet a bit quicker than walking pace, you're a runner.
Yeah, I feel like the appearance thing is definitely huge as well. Like when I first started running, or even now, I rock up to a race and people say, "Oh, he's not a runner," because I'm slightly bigger than a normal runner. I'm not skinny. I'm not super lean. I get that all the time. So it's appearance, either body image or even like what you're wearing as well. It's a huge thing, like the running fashion sort of stuff.
Oh, that's boomed just as much as the actual running itself, I think.
Yeah, if you don't have a pair of neon socks, and you're not doing it right, apparently.
Yeah, I've seen people buy 2 pairs of the same shoe and just swap it to give a little bit of a funky look now. As well.
Yeah, there's a lot of odd stuff going on, but yeah.
What is there a running trend that you love? Anything you're like, I want to hate it, but actually I don't.
I think it's sort of carbon race shoes.
Yes, okay.
I mean, I've got a thing like I see them at the gym and people walk in them. I'm not a fan of that. But
Yep.
yeah, I've got an addiction to race day shoes. I think I've got a pair from every single brand.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd happily spend hundreds of pounds on them.
Talk us through what a carbon shoe is. Just
So a carbon shoe is sort of your normal running shoe, but it's got a carbon plate sort of running through the whole thing, which means you can bounce off it and it makes you faster essentially. And each brand has their own one for race day. And they're always bright colours and look cool. So I like them.
and feel cool, I guess, as well. Do you think there's a psychological element in that as well, in that you're putting on these pair of shoes? I guess it may be in the same way that you might go into a dental practice and it sounds silly, but like there are different types of scrubs that you can get out there now that aren't just like feel like a bag. You can feel quite empowered. You know, I feel a bit better in myself. Do you feel that there is a psychological element to that as well? Yeah,
for sure. It's all sort of look good to like, race good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely the same in dentistry as well. I've got about 6 sets of brightly coloured figs that I wear on different days with matching Crocs. Yeah.
Oh, that's where your Croc obsession, of course.
Oh yeah, I match all my coloured Crocs to my figs, and I'm here for it.
How many pairs are we talking?
6. 6 figs, yeah.
And they 6 figs and 6 Crocs.
Yeah.
And they all match.
Yeah.
Oh, please let me.
Sometimes some of the matches are a bit off because I can't find the right colours.
Does that upset you a bit?
Yeah, I need to send a message to Crocs, sort of update or figs.
Yeah, this is a shout out to Crocs to get in touch. Have a bit of a collab here.
I need an invite.
You and Crocs, yeah, nice.
That'd be good.
I can see that. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.